History doesn't begin with headlines. It begins in whispers, in thoughts, in quiet agreements no one remembers making. By the time the alarms sound, the real battle has already been decided. Most people see what they're told to see. A crisis here, a scandal there, a trending outrage to keep the blood pressure up. But the Watchmen? They notice patterns. The same tricks, recycled. The same lies, repackaged. The same old serpent, wearing new branding. If you've ever felt like the world's script didn't quite match the stage you were standing on, congratulations. You're already further along than most. We like to imagine war as tanks and trenches, useful for films, less accurate for reality. The most important battles are not fought with bullets, but with narratives, fears, and carefully engineered confusion. The preternatural realm sits between the natural and the supernatural. It's the gray zone where ideas are weaponized, where spirits ride on signals, and where human minds are quietly negotiated over. Propaganda used to require posters, slogans, and loudspeakers. Now it just needs you to swipe. What used to be crude has become elegant, personalized, predictive, a tailor-made illusion crafted from your fears, your habits, and your late-night search history. Of course, this is all for your convenience. After all, why think for yourself when an invisible system can do it for you? Every age of control has a playbook. The names change, the methods evolve, the software, it updates. But the rules, those rarely change, isolate, confuse, divide, condition, control. The Watchmen, well, they learn to recognize these steps, not just in governments or corporations, but in the unseen currents, in the spiritual architectures that shape what a society calls normal. You know, it's easy to hate people when all you see is their programming, the anger, the confusion, the tribal colors. But humanity is not the enemy. Deception is. Most people are simply walking through a maze built long before they were born, convinced that the walls are just the way things are. Honestly, you can hardly blame a person for being lost in a labyrinth they were never told existed. The Preternatural Playbook is not a horror show. It's a field manual. We map out the tactics, spiritual, psychological, and technological, that are used to steer human behavior. We examine gang stalking, algorithmic influence, soft forms of persuasion, and the quiet agreements that turn crowds into tools. If you've ever suspected that you were being nudged, herded, or conveniently outraged on schedule, well, let's just say you're asking the right questions. This series isn't here to make you paranoid. Paranoia sees enemies everywhere. Discernment sees patterns and seeks truth. We're here to train watchmen, those willing to stand at the edge of the storm and say, no, I will not be led by fear. I will not be discipled by deception. If that sounds dramatic, that's because it is. We're just finally admitting it out loud. If you felt the pressure, the surveillance, the spiritual heaviness in the atmosphere, you are not imagining it. And you are not alone. This is the Preternatural Playbook, what the Watchmen know, a guide for the remnant, a warning for the unaware, and a map for those who refuse to sleepwalk through the end of an age. The enemy has his playbook. It's time you read yours. The Preternatural Playbook, what the Watchmen know. New episodes begin weekly on November 23rd. If you're ready to see behind the curtain, subscribe, watch, discern, and stand the wall.